Here's something to consider. When I close my eyes, does the universe disappear? It might seem like a totally absurd and laughable question. Although if you said it to a child, they might have to think about it a bit, because they might actually believe the universe disappears. And of course it doesn't really disappear, because there's still stuff going on. I can still hear things, I can still feel things. So the universe hasn't disappeared. Only what we might call the visual aspect has disappeared. It depends what you think of as the universe. Is the universe something out there? Is it something that you see? Is the universe primarily a visual phenomenon? Sighted people tend to have this prejudice. A few years ago, I had the extremely good fortune of interacting with a blind person, somebody who was very blind and had been blind since a very early age. And it completely transformed my understanding of blindness. I'd never met a blind person before, or not really engaged with a blind person. Blindness was one of these things that I found extremely hard to contemplate. In fact, I could only contemplate it with a kind of horror, as if it was a tragedy too terrible to contemplate even. What's it like to be blind? To lose one's sight? To live in a world of darkness? But I have to say, this person that I interacted with was an incredibly inspiring person. And not because he was blind. He was just a very positive, very creative person. He's somebody who functioned very well in this world. And you could see actually that if we had a society of blind people, then they would probably do all right. After all, there are many other beings, other animals on this planet, which get by very well without much in the way of a sense of sight. What is their reality? Their reality is quite different to the reality of people who are largely visually based, or of creatures that are largely visually based. Quite a different reality. Do we assume that creatures without sight are somehow inferior to those with sight? Are bats somehow inferior to cats? It doesn't work, does it? Bats are just as viable organisms as cats, just as successful as cats. What is the reality of a bat to the reality of a cat? So perhaps when I close my eyes, what happens? I'm experiencing reality in a different mode. The tyranny of the visual mode has gone, and I have to resort to other modes, which we would describe as sound and touch. So it's not that the universe has disappeared, but it's become something quite different, hasn't it? It's become something quite different. So have you got this prejudice? For you, is the universe a visual thing? Which just shows how much your reality is dictated to by your senses. Is the universe filled up? Is the universe something that has got colour? Is it something that's got shape? And if you can't experience colour and shape, are you defective? All this is by way of exploring or investigating or inquiring into what we mean by an external universe. If an external universe is something that has got colour and shape, then when I close my eyes, it is perfectly correct to say the universe has disappeared. The universe of colour and shape has disappeared. So is it really so laughable now that when I close my eyes, for me to say that the universe has disappeared?